What's up, my boys?
Hey guys, and welcome to a video.
A new video.
We are going to take you through 20 of the best places you can visit in Portugal. And we're going to start out with the most obvious.
Lisbon. It makes so much sense that Lisbon is one of the best places to visit. Lisbon is the capital of Portugal, and we used to live there for 2 years, so we have almost discovered every little pocket of what Lisbon has to offer.
This is the best starting point to really understand Portugal, and from there you move out of the city to see what else you got. But I mean, Lisbon for us is one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
It's colorful, it's hilly, you have plenty of viewpoints, the food scene is amazing, and you get to engage with the local people a lot. Everyone speaks English as well.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect place to visit to get that little appetizer of what Portugal is.
And but warning, if you go there, you will probably want to move there, because that's how charming Lisbon is. There's endless things to do. Go to the beach, that's 20 minutes away. You know, it's one of the oldest cities in Europe, right?
Yeah,
It's older than Rome. It's filled with history and just anything you could ask for.
The next one is probably as predictable because it's Porto.
The second biggest city.
Yes, Porto is another magical place. So in 1755, Lisbon was hit by a big earthquake and it was flooded. So a lot of the architecture had to be reconstructed. But in Porto, you find the really old, beautiful Portuguese architecture still, because that wasn't destroyed. And that is one thing that you just have to take in when you are in Porto.
It's a more melancholic and dark city in a way, mainly due to the weather. But first time you visit Porto and walk around in the center, it's hard not to be absolutely blown away.
Yeah, it's like you are in a different, in a parallel universe. Everything is so magical, and the colors are different, and you have this, I don't know how to explain it, but there is it's a cultural hub. It has a very different atmosphere than you get in Lisbon.
And just like Lisbon, you also have an incredible food scene. And it's, for us, Porto is a place to come to really just get drunk and
we
and
love
eat.
going to Porto to party, because I don't know, the Porto people, they just know how to party. And speaking of partying, we are proud to announce the sponsor of this video, Bolt.
Bolt is the rideshare app that we use to get from A to B, whether we are in Lisbon, Porto or Funchal.
This is very handy, as Jon always likes to drink a lot of wine, beer and gin and tonics, and therefore can't drive.
We use Bolt almost on a daily basis, whether we are going shopping, to a restaurant, the airport, or whatever the errand might be.
Prices are low and pickup is fast, so there really isn't much more to say than it's a great way to get around.
Use our code STAYCLASSY3 to get €3 off your first ride. We put the download link right down below here. Enjoy the trip. Moving on to number 3, we have Douro.
So Douro is a river that goes all the way from Spain and it runs out in the Atlantic Ocean.
In Porto.
In Porto. And when you go a little bit more inland, you find the wine region of Douro. And that place is so incredible beautiful.
It's one of the most beautiful places in Portugal, we think. And also one of the most wonderful places to spend time, because here you have incredible hotels, some of the best wines in our opinion.
In all of Europe, yeah.
All of Europe maybe, but at least in Portugal.
You have this hilly landscape with all the wine standing on it. It's so beautiful, and you can find amazing hotels and food there.
It's really hard to explain exactly what makes it so special, but it's just, you have to go and see for yourself. And the further inland you get, the more clean the nature gets. So for example, when you take the old wine boats that used to carry wine down to Porto, you'll see these winey hills just completely unobstructed. No buildings, just perfect nature.
So the next place is one of my favorite places in all of Portugal. It's Guimarães.
Guimarães.
Guimarães is, in my opinion, the prettiest old town in all of Portugal. You have amazing buildings that has been preserved because
It's a UNESCO heritage.
So you can't put in an ugly metal door in an old building. Everything is authentic, and you feel it when you're there. This is the birthplace of Portugal. So it has so much history. It has castles, it has monasteries, it has an amazing food scene as well. Lots of amazing restaurants there. It's just a wonderful place to go for a long weekend. Another wonderful thing about Guimarães is it's a very young, bustling city because it's a student city. So you have a lot of young people going out after school and getting drunk and enjoying the city.
The squares.
The squares, everywhere there's cute squares.
Yeah.
And it's also located in a region in Portugal that produce a lot of clothing and furnitures and textiles and all these things, which means that there's so much creativity going on in the city. It's a very interesting city to go and visit.
So moving all the way down to the south coast at Algarve, we have a beautiful city called Tavira.
If you are a regular viewer here on Stay Classy, it's no surprise to you that we will mention Tavira. Tavira is one of the most romantic towns in Portugal, especially in the region Algarve, where often you find like very big cities with big party scenes and resorts. In Tavira, you get the cute, authentic feeling of what Algarve used to be.
It's a Roman city, so you find these the Roman architecture, the Roman bridge. We just love walking around, and you are very close to the Spanish border, so also the water is pretty warm. But that's a side note. I think, I don't know, Tavira is...
It's a place where you go for a romantic stay, I would say.
Yeah.
You enjoy that you are surrounded by history. You enjoy the architecture, the breeze. It's vacation in my book. Like that's what you go for a vacation for.
And a place you could live if you are a romantic kind of person. In Alentejo, you have a city called Évora. And Évora is probably, in my opinion, just as beautiful as Guimarães.
Yeah, it is.
It's like the Alentejo answer to Guimarães. And again, one of the best cities in my opinion when it comes to Portuguese food. Oh my god, I love the food in Évora.
It's also the region Alentejo that has a lot of amazing food, but you have like the capital of the region, which is Évora. Évora is also a very old town, and it's a student town as well, so you get the same kind of feeling as you're doing in Guimarães, but it's a southern version of it. It's also a place where you go and you get a little drunk because of all the students there. There's a lot of nice bars and restaurants. There are cute squares.
It's also a great starting point for exploring all the wineries around. You should go to
Fita Preta,
one of the most beautiful wineries we've ever seen, or a bit south at Dade das Cruz. It's like a place where you can stay for a whole week and then explore everything around Évora.
Especially if you're into nature, it's amazing. You have a lot of beautiful nature in the vicinity of Évora. And you also have other small towns that are magical to go visit, like Monsaraz, for example.
Which is also on our list, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. In our background here,
right here,
you see the ocean of Madeira. And Madeira is, with no doubt, a place you have got to visit in Portugal.
I mean, I could put this on top of the list as number one in many ways, because this is just such an incredible island that we love so much that we actually moved here 6 months ago.
To us, this is paradise, but I will also say that it's different from what I would say is Portugal. It's different from what you see in the continent of Portugal. This is island living.
Yeah.
They have their own dialect. They have their own way of cooking food and using ingredients.
Well,
that
that's
is not
just,
necessarily...
but you have that also on the mainland.
Yeah, but
it all changes.
I know, but it's very different from the mainland.
You are 1,000 kilometers away in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, so it's a different kind of Portugal.
But it's an amazing kind of Portugal too.
It's the nature you come for here. It's the clean air. It's the climate.
The warm water.
The climate is amazing all year round, and the The food here is spectacular,
Yeah.
especially the meat.
So my favorite thing about Madeira is that you actually have everything you need. You can go to the mountains in a cold mountain area and enjoy the view to the whole island. But then you can go back to the hot seafront and you can take a swim in the nice warm ocean an hour later. And the fact that you have all that on one island, I think it's amazing.
It's in our opinion still one of the most underrated islands in Europe, and I mean we can't believe that it's not more popular on a mainstream level.
And
but that's also a good thing in our opinion, because
of course there is tourists here and you have cruise ships coming by, but if you compare it to other islands here in Europe, it's still not discovered, and we love that.
So let's not talk about
Let's
Madeira
not talk.
more.
Yeah.
There are a lot of student towns here in Portugal, and another one is Aveiro, which they call the Venice of Portugal. I don't particularly like that term.
I think it's the Aveiro of Portugal, which itself is so good that it doesn't need a comparison. It's a very, very cool place. You have all these channels going through the old town, and you have a lot of nature around. You have beach areas around. You have a place called Costa Nova that is like almost like a vacation area around the city, and then you have the city itself.
Yeah. We haven't spent too much time in Aveiro. We actually only had half a day there, but it was enough to make us fall in love with the place. And I think, as you said, you have the Costa Nova, which is a summer beachy town, and then you have the Salt Flats. I think it's just a very unique modern town that has a very contemporary European feel.
So we also have to talk about this little island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean where you get crystal clear water and big white sand beaches.
And it's right next to where we are.
It's Porto Santo.
It's 60 kilometers that way.
It's just incredible, The water temperature is like you are in the Mediterranean. The salt is like you are in the Mediterranean Sea. And then you are in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and it's just amazing. So Porto Santo is actually an island where Columbus used to live, because Columbus got married to the sugarcane family of Porto Santo. So in that sense, it has some history to it.
And it's a tiny island, so that's why you don't have so much to do. We spent 3-4 days there earlier this year, and after 2 days we had seen most of the go-to spots.
So what we ended up doing was doing what you have to do on Porto Santo.
Enjoy the beaches.
Going to the beach, going to the ocean, eat freshly caught fish, and that's it.
Because don't go horse riding. If you can't ride a horse like me. Oh my god, this is the second time I ride a horse, and this is the second time I fall off a horse. It's honestly just like the best place to go and relax and just do nothing. Bring some books, lay in the sand, which has therapeutic attributes. Apparently, if you spend time in the sand every day for 30 minutes in a week, it will solve all your problems in life. But yeah, I love Porto Santo, and that is indeed an underrated island that very few people even know exist.
But let's go to a place that is definitely developed but still very small. It's Vila Nova Milfontes, and it's located south of Lisbon, all the way out at the coast of the Atlantic Ocean.
1.5 hours of driving. This is particularly a place you would go to during the summer months. But beware that it will be filled with Portuguese people in particular, especially in August. So don't go in August if you want to go to, for example, restaurant Celso, one of the best restaurants we've been to in Portugal. And I don't know how to describe it.
So what I liked about this town was that not only do you have so much coast and so many beaches to lay on, you also have all these old cute houses. You have an old fortress and a castle. You just have all these things that you want to have in a vacation town. Yeah. And it's very relaxing there. It's
beautiful.
It's beautiful, yeah. And it's the best place to go if you want to get fresh fish, I think. We had so much good fish.
Yeah.
Woo! I like the next one.
We picked this place even though it's a tiny place. So Ferragudo is at the Algarve coast. It's very small, but the reason why we picked it as a top 20 place to visit in Portugal is because not only is it itself a very charming little town with fantastic beach life and beach clubs, it's also located perfectly to explore what's around. I mean, you have Portimao, which has wonderful restaurants, Cabuero.
So if you're visiting Algarve, you have the perfect starting point in Ferragudo.
Yeah.
You can go to everywhere you want, plus you are in an authentic little town instead of going to the bigger towns. This is what we also like about Tavira, but with Ferragudo, you are in the middle of Algarve, so it's easy for you to go to wherever you want to go. Ferragudo is also the home of one of our favorite beach clubs in Algarve.
Club Now.
Club Now is a really cool place. Amazing food. They have like traditional Portuguese and Asian fusion, which is the best when you have a long day on the beach to have sushi and champagne, right? Who doesn't like that?
It's a nice contrast to the other fish restaurants you have where you literally see the fish caught and then on the plate.
Yes.
It doesn't have that much to offer, but it's just a great place to be and a great starting point to see everything around.
Yeah. But now we have to go to one of the most beautiful, well-preserved old castle towns of Portugal.
Monsaraz.
Monsaraz is located in the region of Alentejo, not too far away from Évora, and it is so beautiful. It's all white. You are within the castle walls and you walk these old streets and looking at the old architecture. And even better is that when you are in the castle town, you look at the nature there. The nature is hilly, it's filled with small lakes because it's very close to the biggest man-made lake of Europe.
Well, that's what you're looking at, Alceva.
Yes.
And even though it's man-made, it looks spectacular. And again, in this small little castle town or village, you have wonderful restaurants also. And wonderful wines. We went to Ervideira, which is some of the best wines you can get, in my opinion. It's a place you go preferably to rent an Airbnb and stay inside.
For a romantic evening.
Yeah, I think I prefer staying there for a couple of days rather than just going on a day trip because you don't really get to appreciate it on the same level.
One of the reasons is that you still have tourists coming, not that many, but some tourists, they would still come during the day and you have a lot of people walking around, but after sunset, that's where the magic happens. You only have few people within the people that are staying there. It's magical.
And it's a place we don't get tired of going to. It's not even a place where you've been there once, then it's like, oh, okay, we've seen it. You want to come back because it's magical.
How many times have we been? 4?
Four or five, yeah.
I could go again.
I actually miss it. North of Monsaraz, you have the highest point of Portugal, at least the mainland Portugal. Serra da Estrela.
Serra da Estrela is a nature park and it offers some of the most stunning nature and viewpoints that I have seen for a long time.
I think it's one of the most under-discovered places in Portugal.
Except for one thing, Jon. All the Portuguese people, they would go there to see the sight of snow once in a while, because this is one of the few points in Portugal where it snows due to the high altitude.
Well, I mean, it snows in most of the north of Portugal, but this is where you can go skiing.
Yes.
Because on the top of Serra da Estrela, you are in 2,000 meters altitude, so you even have slopes for skiing. And we vowed to ourselves that we would do that, but we still haven't done it. We stayed at this wonderful hotel, Peña Dourada, which is like you are suddenly in the Alps.
It feels like a ski resort. It was so cool, but it's also a place for hikers. I will say that. Like in the summertime, to go on trails and treks there is so cool because you walk on mountain backs and it's really, really nice.
I really fell in love with Serra da Estrela, and we do this everywhere we go in Portugal. We're like, oh, I wish we had built a little house here,
Yeah.
But Serra da Estrela really is a magical place, and I love that during winter, when you go there, it snows so much that you oftentimes you get stuck up there. And there's something romantic cool about being stuck there. Nobody can reach you. You can't
Until
leave.
you try it, though.
Yeah, I mean, okay, but I'm just saying.
We ran out of white wine. Can you imagine?
Okay, well, that's the problem. That's a huge. Well, we were stuck up when we go there. Fill the SUV.
It's also a place where local produce is a thing still, where people rely on each other for producing different things. And we went and we visited one of the biggest factories there that is called Burrell Factory, and we have come to love their products.
Yeah, it's that's one of the things that I loved about Serra da Estrela, like the cheese they have. Everything they make themselves in Serra da Estrela is just fantastic. And you would be surprised with how many wonderful hotels and restaurants you find there.
Rural hotels there are really, really good. We stayed at several different rural hotels, and they were just they were really luxurious and nice.
I really want to come back to that place.
Right now I'm dreaming about going.
Yeah, we need to do a long road trip soon, Amalie.
2-month road trip in Portugal.
2 months road trip, yeah.
That would be very cool.
Yeah. Further north of Serra da Estrela, you will reach Bragança. Bragança is one of the most remote big cities in Portugal. It's located in the far northeast, close to the Spanish border, and
it's a cool place. Like, one thing I have to talk about when we talk about Bragança is the food. This is where I've had some of the best Portuguese food in my life.
And that was actually at the place called O Abel.
Oh.
It's a little bit out of Bragança. And I mean, I'm still daydreaming about this place. Like, from the outside, it doesn't look like much, but they even have a little hotel, which says a lot, because people, they love the food here so much that they book a few nights just to eat.
They would drive all the way from Lisbon, 5 hours up north, just to eat and sleep there. And you feel like you are in medieval times when you are in Bragança, which is what I really like about it. You have old bridges, old small rivers. You are close to some of the oldest small towns of Portugal in the north. And then you also have the nature there. It's very hilly. You have like all these wild animals walking around. In the area of Bragança, they're very famous for a certain kind of meat called pasta. And the idea of pasta is that the animal has to live in its natural habitat. So you see all these wild cows and goats that are actually getting eaten, but they have a nice life before.
So the meat you find is basically the equivalent of back in the day, where a tribe would have arrows and bows to kill them. So it's like the best meat you can get, and that's also why visiting the restaurant of O Abel was such an incredible experience, because the meat is just the best you can get, literally. And if you have the opportunity, you should take a hot air balloon just to do it. I don't think it's possible, but we were lucky to do it.
It was really beautiful. There's something about the silence when you are in a hot air balloon during sunrise.
Yeah. So from Bragança to Gerês National Park, this is a place very few people know outside Portugal.
Gerês is a fairy tale for nature lovers.
We went there this summer and was actually kind of blown away by the combination of beautiful nature and how just organic and authentic it was. This is one of the great examples of Portugal in its authentic and true form.
It's all about being in one with nature. You have waterfalls, you have natural pools, you have mountains, you have lakes, you have everything you could imagine. You can go there for camping and being more primitive in staying there, or you can go at some of the most amazing hotels that they have there. It's also a place where a lot of famous Portuguese people have their vacation home. Ronaldo actually used to have a house there.
Yeah, but then he had to sell it because everybody went there to see it.
Yeah, it's a tour. It has so many activities for people who likes nature. So that's what I think it's about, honestly.
Take a tour with a local company and get all the stories that comes with the area, because we did our own tour where we kind of just drove around, but then the day after we were on this tour with a company, and we had this guide who really just told us so many stories that made the area much more special.
For example, he took us on an old Roman highway, an old Roman road, where he showed us the way that they would actually mark how far away you would be from Rome. Or
Well,
from
yeah,
Bragança.
but the interesting thing was it was the oldest preserved Roman road.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So there is not only beautiful nature, but also a history to this place.
To me, one of the most amazing things were actually the waterfalls. I love waterfalls. I love the dramatic sound and the lake that comes, and they have
the animal life.
so many.
The animal
Absolutely.
life is truly fantastic.
We
Birds,
were driving along with wild horses and birds.
big
and-
vultures.
yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Go there. Right next to Gerês, you have Minho, which is a region. So
Oh.
this is a lot of different things in one area. So
It's all in the north.
it's not a city. It's a big area that has a lot to offer. We started out in Viana do Castelo, a beautiful city that is, how do you describe it? Good food, tranquility,
Fish. Eat fish.
some
and-
of the best fish life.
Yeah, a lot of young
to eat.
people, amazing people. That's one thing I noticed. All the people we met there. That is very common in Portugal to meet amazing people. But we actually made friends without really like trying to it. It was
Yeah.
like we just met people that are amazing there.
Inland, you can go to wineries. This is where you have the Vinho Verde region, Alvarinho, the best white wine almost, I think, in my opinion.
Soalheiro?
We went to Soalheiro, the winery, where we really got to understand Vinho Verde, because most people don't understand Vinho Verde. They have this, they just talk about green wine and it's very acidy
Or it's
and
young wine.
it's not really white wine, but it is white wine. But you can get bad white wine, but you also have some of the best white wine here, even red wine actually.
Yeah.
So-
one thing that we learned about the region of Minho is how much the local people are still in a close community to each other. They rely a lot to each other. They have so many different fresh produce, everything from sausage and cheese and
Yeah.
wine. It's like Portugal at its core, you know?
Yeah.
This is what Portugal used to be all about.
If you want to experience Portugal without seeing other tourists, you should consider Minho. If we go 500 kilometers north west of where we are right now, you find an archipelago called Azores. This is a collection of 9 islands, small islands.
All very different, even though they're so close to each other, which is amazing.
I think this is by far probably the most incredible nature of all of Portugal.
Yes.
Including Madeira almost. Maybe not, but yeah.
No, I think it tops.
We have only been to São Miguel, which is the main island.
So what is amazing about São Miguel is that it has so much different stuff to offer nature-wise. So you have the hot springs, you have the mountains, you have the waterfalls, you have the only tea farm in all of Europe. And then you also have these small coastal towns that are super cute. Some of them are always rainy, some of them are always sunny. And then you also have a fortress that used to be very important in Second World War.
I think when you go to São Miguel, you also have to consider the other islands around,
Yes.
which altogether makes it. You should probably spend a month there to really see it all, because
You also have the highest point of Portugal.
Pico Island, right next to, or pretty close to São Miguel, is the highest point of all of Portugal.
It's a super pointy volcano, basically,
Yeah.
and you can actually trek it all the way to the top for a day, and it offers amazing views.
But yeah, that's not São Miguel.
No.
But I think the point with São Miguel is that this is the starting point to some of the most unbelievable nature you'll see in the world. Also, I mean, this is we're up there in the top of the most.
We definitely are.
It's very almost mind blowing.
So it's like you go to a tropical island, but it's not really a tropical island because it's still a part of Europe and it's
Yeah.
above equator and everything, but it feels like you are in a very tropical environment.
Although the weather is not exactly tropical, this is, I think, the reason we don't live on Azores is because the weather is very bipolar. I mean, you can see 4 seasons in one day, but chances are it'll mostly be rainy. So back to the mainland, we have Nazaré, And Nazaré is, I think the reason why we picked this spot is because it is a fascinating city during mostly winter time. So if you're visiting Portugal during winter time, you should see if there is big waves, because Nazaré is where you find the biggest waves on the planet.
The biggest surfed wave in the world was recorded in Nazaré, and the championships goes on there every year. We went and saw some of it, and it was insane to see these guys on the back of a big wave, and you can barely see them, but you are standing on a fortress. And when you look to your left, you look down the cliff and you see this beautiful coastal beach town that offers amazing fish. It's very cute and local. And then on the right side, you see the raw white sand beaches and the big waves. It's very contrasty, actually.
I mean, I wouldn't stay too long. I mean, a couple of days, and then perhaps combine it with the waves. That would make it a bucket list experience for you. It can be hard to time it. I mean, you have
to go between November and March.
But
have
even
a good chance of seeing waves.
But even then, you can't be sure to see the big waves. I remember last year I think there were maybe 2 or 3 weekends where they were, super big. So you can't count on it. But Nazaré is also great for seeing everything around the area. You have lots of things to see here. The old dinosaur footprints. You have a nature park where also the dinosaurs used to hang out. You have the big sanctuary we went to.
Yes.
You have Peniche.
Where if you like seafood.
Yeah.
If you're coming from somewhere in the world where seafood isn't a big thing and you want to eat the best.
Yeah.
Peniche is probably the place to go.
That is also
why we have the next place on the list.
Ericeira.
Ericeira is one of my favorite places in Portugal for different reasons. First of all, the atmosphere there is so cool. You feel like it's a fisherman town, but then at the same time it's also a modern town. You have youngsters, you have surfers.
It's apparently a very
hub.
But also expat hub.
Yeah.
Lots of expats move here. It's only 40 minutes outside of Lisbon, so maybe that's also part of the reason.
It's coastal,
Yeah, and it is chilly compared to Lisbon. I remember one time we went there. It was 31 degrees in Lisbon, and then it was 21 in Ericeira.
Mainly because you get the wind freshly from the Atlantic Ocean, right?
I mean, it's cold during winter. Even though it seems like a very sunny coastal town, it's not summery like Lisbon.
Maybe that's what an expat hub gives you, There was an Australian guy having a restaurant, and then there was a French girl having a bakery, and that is really nice. And my favorite pastel de nata is to find in Ericeira. O pauzinho.
What's also cool about Ericeira is that you are close to Sintra, you're close to Asenhas do Mar, so you should probably stay there for a couple of days, so you can also take advantage of everything in the vicinity. And the final one, number 20 place to visit in Portugal, is Olhão and all the islands right behind.
Olhão is an old Moorish town, which actually means that the architecture of Olhão is very different from most of the other towns that you see in Portugal.
This is like almost being in Morocco.
Yeah, you have all these flat roofs with rooftops on the private homes, which offers a very different atmosphere. It's also a very common place for Portuguese people to go and spend the summer because it's coastal, it's nice. You have one of the best fresh produce markets of Portugal actually is to be found in Olhão.
Yeah.
And then it's just only one little speedboat ride away from what we like to call the Maldives of Portugal.
And we have been there a couple of times. Most notably was when we were staying in this houseboat for 2 nights.
Yes.
I love coming here during summer. It is really a fantastic way to just take advantage of the beaches, the water, all the great seafood you'll eat here.
And the happiness, I don't know, maybe because it's bustling during summer, you feel that people go there with a happy mindset, right?
Yeah.
People are finally off from work, they're bringing the whole family. There is this atmosphere of joy. And then I love the Airbnbs there because you actually get amazing Airbnbs there because most of them has a rooftop.
Yeah.
So you will get this little, it's like a little townhouse, but then on top you have a rooftop to enjoy the sunset and everything. And because the whole city is almost like white and orange, it looks like the sky is pink and red during evening. It's really nice.
But yeah, that was 20 places to visit in Portugal. Let us know if we forgot any, in your opinion. Thank you for watching the video.
Obrigada por ver o vídeo. Thank you for watching, guys. Até logo.
Até Lego. Lego, because we're from Denmark. It's not luego.